Another video on making sponge cake with egg whites instead of whole eggs. So I've done it before, relatively successful, but as always I was never 100% happy with the results. That's a lie. I'm generally very happy with the results that I get from things. Sometimes things could be doing for a little bit of improvement or another avenue to have a play around with something. But this is generally it. And I did think to myself after I'd made the cake, I talked about it as well, that maybe we could whip up half the egg whites. So make the cake with just half the egg whites, well, the weight of egg whites that you'd normally put into a whole weight of eggs into a cake. That didn't make much sense. But I've got the equivalent of, this is an 8 egg mixture of cake, and I've got the equivalent weight in eggs in egg whites. So I've taken half that amount of egg whites and I've mixed it into the cake mixture as of normal, and then I've saved half the amount of egg whites that I was going to put in, and I've whipped them up, and now we're going to combine them together, and then we're going to put them in a tray and put them in the oven and bake it like a cake and see what happens, because I just found that the cake, see I'm waffling, I found that the cake just hadn't risen as much as the cake that was made with whole eggs. So I've got these egg whites left over, so let's have another go and see if whipping the egg whites to incorporate a bit more air into them will work. Generally when you're making souffles and pavlovs and things like that, you sacrifice a third of your whipped up egg whites into the mixture. It's something that you're going to mix them into first, just so it loosens that mixture, just so you don't lose too much air when you start folding things in. If you were to add all the whipped egg whites in the first go, you'd start to lose the air that you'd whipped into them. So, but we'll see how this goes. So I need a spatula. It's quite soft mixture already, so we should fold in quite well. We'll just have to see how it works. We'll just have to see how it goes. I don't know how it's going to work. There should be a sponge that you make a sponge like this. It's similar to a fatless sponge, but using butter. So I don't know. I can't imagine I've invented something, because let's be honest, there's nothing new under the sun. So gutting and a folding method to incorporate those. It looks like it's folding in quite well. We're losing some air, but of course that's to be expected. The idea is that see, that looks okay. That looks a lot lighter than normal cake mixture, so we should be okay. Yeah, it's second-hand baking parchment, because we don't like waste. Shouldn't really bang because you end up losing air, but you know, we're all friends here, aren't we? No one's going to be too particular about things. So maybe I should have heated the oven up beforehand. I'm on this new thing of not putting the oven on before I put a cake in. Something I watched on Instagram Reels, or it was a TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but it might have been on TikTok. It might have been on Instagram Reels. It was on one of them. Or on Facebook, whatever thingamajig. Facebook stories. So, move this gently to the corners. Yeah, so you don't have to put the oven on, preheat the oven for making cakes and things. Which I was like, oh, that's kind of quite interesting. So it looks like there's more cake mixture in there than usual, so it looks like we've increased the volume. So we'll see how this, this thing's in the oven. And those people that use the oven as a storage space for trays and things. Right, this is going to go in the oven, 180 until it's cooked, and we'll see how it turns out. I think we're ready. Yeah, we're ready. So I was thinking it looked like it's risen more than the other one that I cooked that was just unwhipped. whatever, egg yolks, egg whites. But I realised there's like 2 extra eggs equivalent of in that mixture, so it looks like it's risen more, but it hasn't. It's got the same kind of finish to the top of it. It was that slightly shiny finish to it, whereas the whole eggs was a little bit more crumbly on top. I can think of just to describe it. So we'll let that cool, and then we'll have a look at it. We'll cut into it. Decide what I'm going to do with it. If I'm going to cut it into sponge fingers and dry them out, or if I'm going to, yeah, probably cut them into sponge fingers and dry it out, rather than use it in a trifle or something like that and leave it whole. It needs drying out really. But anyway, so that's me waffling. I will we'll let that cool, and then we'll cut into it. We'll give it a taste. We'll have a look, and I'll get some kind of idea if it's an improvement. It's dropping. I can see it dropping already. So it was certainly cooked. Was the cake? Let's just double check. It was certainly cooked, but I can see that it's dropping as it cools. So maybe whipping hasn't improved that. Yeah, it's definitely cooked in the centre. It's definitely cooked in the centre. But I can see that it's already started to drop. So maybe whisking didn't make a blind bit of notice. But anyway, we'll cut into it when it's cool and we'll have a look. Yeah, I don't think whipping those egg whites has made any difference whatsoever. So let's take it out and have a look at it. Feels quite heavy. Feels quite heavy. And let's just have a look. Yeah, it feels heavy. It feels a lot heavier than a sponge that I just have made with whole eggs. So I don't know why that is. What am I going to do? I'm going to use it as is. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. So let's cut it in half. I'm just muttering to myself. I'm just deciding what I'm going to use it for. So it looks alright. It looks alright. But I don't think it's made any difference whipping the egg whites beforehand, if I'm honest. Let's have a try. I don't think it's made any difference whatsoever. But it goes to show that we don't have to make a fatless sponge with egg whites. We can make a sponge using egg whites. And it turned out okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it tastes fine. It tastes slightly more eggy, for whatever reason that is, than a normal sponge does. It's got a slightly different texture, but it's alright. It's alright. Yeah, so we can, if you've got loads of egg whites, for whatever reason, you don't have to make meringues, you don't have to cook them and turn them into egg white scrambled eggs or omelettes or anything like that. You can actually make a sponge out of them. You can do a fatless sponge, so like a Swiss roll type of thing, or you can do a butter, sugar, flour and eggs type of sponge. You just have to know how much an egg weighs and work it out like that. So if an egg weighs 60 grams, use 60 grams worth of egg whites per egg that you would normally use in that sponge. And you can also substitute some egg whites with some eggs. So if you had 4 egg whites, you could weigh those and use those in a sponge that you were also using whole eggs in as well. As long as the weight of the whites that you're using matches an egg, it all works. It's not brilliant, but it works. And I don't know, take that for what you are. I think it's a success because it works. It shows we can do something, so therefore something is an option, and cutting down on food waste is always a good thing. So, success.